So on the other side of the wall from the St. Pius statue and that music number board over there is our Adoration Chapel. At least some of you know that it's there as you go there regularly to pray. But hopefully many of you here tonight don't know that it is there. I realize it may sound strange for me to say that, but it is our hope and our prayer that at each Mass at St. Pius, and most especially at these 7:30 p.m. Masses, we will have many visitors among us. Some of you here tonight may be Catholics from out of town and discovered on, say, masstimes.org that this is the second last Sunday night Mass in all the Twin Cities. Others of you might be parishioners at nearby churches who have found it convenient for whatever reason to come here tonight. Know that you're welcome. And we also hope that there are perhaps in our midst some non-Catholic neighbors in our Whitford Lake community. People who are looking for a spiritual home, a place to encounter Jesus' healing love. And that is why, starting this weekend, we have some new Mass guides in the pews. And thank you, Sean, who was videoing us tonight, for your lead role in putting them together. These were designed to help those not familiar with the Mass to be able to follow along, to better participate. That is the reason why it's my dream that someday I'll be looking up here and seeing a couple video screens. Once again, so that we can have the words of the Mass and other things up there that can help people who are new to Mass, who are new to the parish, perhaps to help young families or children to be better able to participate with us. Well, that's still a dream. There's no plans for that quite yet. But I digress. For those who do not know, our Adoration Chapel, behind that wall over there, is open about 130 hours per week for people to come and pray and be with Jesus. Now, at the other Masses, I got into a longer theological discussion of the Eucharist and why people would come to pray in church in front of what looks like a piece of bread. If you want to know more about that kind of stuff, the next 3 Wednesday evenings, there's going to be this Alteration, this DVD series and discussion series. I'm led to believe they're cutting edge in quality. And they talk about why we do what we do at Mass. So there's some of these information things outside for those who want to learn more about the faith during this Lenten season. But let us put it in the 7:30 p.m. Mass nutshell. The Catholic belief is that once I, as a priest, speak the words that Jesus spoke at the Last Supper, His divine presence enters in and takes over the essence of the bread and the water and the wine, even though they still look the same as before. Now, before the fall of Adam and Eve, in verses in Genesis just before what Brian, you're nice, Adam, what Brian nicely proclaimed for us tonight, and I think we should acknowledge Brian, because this is Brian's first time serving as a lector since he was in grade school. So thank you for stepping forward and being a part of doing such a great job for us tonight. We learned, in the verses before what Brian proclaimed, we learned that Adam and Eve were in God's presence. That they even daily walked through the garden with the Lord. Now, Adam and Eve, however, were booted from the garden a few verses after what we heard tonight in today's reading, when God came along for the nightly stroll, and, well, they weren't willing to fess up for what they had done. As a result of that, we're not able to walk physically and talk with God in the Adoration Chapel. But we can still be in His presence there in a unique way. We can be there to adore Him. Being there allows us to have the quiet time in our minds and in our hearts that's needed to hear God speaking to us, not mouth to ear, but heart to heart. My life has been profoundly impacted by adoration. For it was in another Adoration Chapel that I visited frequently around a decade and a half ago. That was the place where God spoke to me more than any other place to my heart, inviting me to accept the call to the priesthood. It would be safe to say, I think, that I would not be up here as a priest if not for the time I spent praying in adoration. So that might lead some of you to think more highly of adoration. And others probably wish I never would have stepped foot in an adoration chapel. Now, at the early Masses, I went into greater detail about how God spoke to my heart. But once again, since this is the 7:30 p.m. Mass, I'll skip a lot of those personal details and just say that while there were a number of influences that led me to accept the call to the priesthood, it was in the adoration chapel where they became integrated, to use a math guy term. As a result, though, I would strongly, strongly encourage anyone to spend time in prayer and Eucharistic adoration. For just as God called me, He is calling each one of you, in one way or another, to become more fully the man or the woman who He created you to be, in a very unique, in a very loving way. Perhaps a few here tonight are even being called to be the priesthood or to the religious life. But most here today are being called to live out the universal call to holiness as a husband, father, wife, mother, son, daughter, friend. Now, some of you have been doing that for decades already. I celebrated a 55th wedding anniversary just yesterday. But even then, there are always ways we can grow deeper. What we all share in common is that we all need God's help. We need His grace. And the Adoration Chapel is a great place to experience and receive that grace. But don't just take my word for it. Let me share with you what 3 current committed adorers, people who come once a week at a certain time for an hour, have to say about their experiences when they go to the chapel. A parishioner named Cindy says, "So many times I come to adore Jesus and bring my thanksgiving for all the blessings He has given me, as well as my troubles. Jesus has always found ways to calm me and encourage me by speaking to my heart. There have been so many aha moments in the chapel." Pat writes, "When I come to adoration, it is one-on-one time with the Most High. I lay my will and my life at His feet, and He teaches me everything I need. Together, God and I can bring it to others, in the same way that when I was 5 years old, my father let me drive my car into the garage while I was sitting on his lap." And John observes, "Always remember that we can never exceed the Lord's generosity. If you give Him 1 hour of your time in adoration, what He will give back to you will far exceed the value of that 1 hour." My sisters and brothers, I'm speaking to you today, first of all, because as you think about what you can do to make this the most fruitful Lent ever, praying and adoration could be one of those things. For many people, it strengthens their spiritual life, and I would invite everyone here to give it a try, even if that just means popping in for a few minutes when you're in the area during the 130 hours during the week when the chapel's open. Now, to be a bit more specific, the chapel is currently open 24 hours a day, except during morning Mass. From after the 10 a.m. Mass on Sunday morning, so there's even people in the chapel right now praying, and remains open until 10 p.m. on Thursday night. It reopens on Friday morning around 6:45 and stays open until the 5 p.m. Mass on Sunday evenings. And during the hours that the church building is locked, there's a code to enter the chapel. Personally, when I first started coming to adoration when I was working, I would pop in for like 10 or 20 minutes when I could. And then it just kind of grew with time. Now, lest I overstate things, adoration isn't the only place to pray. It's not the only place to encounter Jesus. And it's not for everyone. But I would suggest, if you haven't done it before, it's at least worth a try. In addition, I'm preaching on adoration because in order to keep the chapel open, We must have at least one and ideally two people committed to coming each week during every hour, for we can't allow Jesus to be exposed alone. So we also then need a cadre of substitutes who are willing to be called upon when a committed adorer can't be there. Some people get sick, people go on vacation or have surgeries. Some even go south for the winter. It obviously takes a large number of people for this to happen. In fact, there are over 200 people already involved. Not surprisingly, it can be a bit hard to find people to pray committed hours in the middle of the night. We know that even Jesus' apostles had a hard time staying up and doing that. But here at St. Pius, we were blessed to have a group of heroic prayers who took nighttime hours for many years. But some of them have passed on to be with Jesus more fully in heaven. Others can't be here anymore physically. And so now we need a new generation of prayers. And especially I would suggest a new generation of men to rise up and take an hour at night. I know firsthand this isn't easy because soon after I arrived at St. Pius, I took a nighttime hour. And that lasted about a year before I decided to relinquish it. But my own example illustrates that if you say yes to an hour, you're not committing to that hour for the rest of your lives. If you try it and it doesn't work, it's understandable. But sometimes it's best to try something and see if you like it. So to conclude, my invitation to each of you during this Lent is to consider doing something that made a huge difference in my life. Something that's making an important difference in the lives of many of your fellow parishioners. Something that could very well play a role in making this the most fruitful Lent for you ever. May you consider committing to yourself, perhaps, that you will stop by our chapel, or maybe a church close by if you live elsewhere, once a week for at least a few minutes during these next 7 weeks of Lent. Of course, maybe you could take a bigger step. Maybe you consider going to the adoration information table, which is out there after Mass tonight, and committing to pray a weekly hour, maybe even during the nighttime. Or maybe something in between, such as adding your name to the substitute list. May this be the best Lent ever